This review is of Copper Knife. Stays sharp forever. Never needs sharpening. Now it's a 2-pack, and the other one I've been using. This is October 22nd. I've been using this since July. And let's see, stainless steel delivers effortless, clean cuts every time. Oval cutout design in the blade reduces friction and keeps slices from sticking. Ideal for chopping, dicing, mincing, and more. So, is it true? I did look up a review and saw that they didn't bother to do anything more than open it up and test it on multiple things, including paper and vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. And this is made by Tekno. Tekno Products. Tekno Products Incorporated. There we go. Item number Tech 810. So, I'll be honest with you. I was disappointed. These two ladies reviewed it, and one lady was immediately like, well, because of this reason, I'm never going to buy this product. And then they proceeded to test it out. So they cut up different things, and it worked fine. But so what? It should work right out of the packaging, because if not, that'd be pretty insane. Now, I had my doubts when I bought it because it's a $2.99 pack of 2. $1.50 for a knife that never needs sharpening. I think that probably the original price was higher, and this may have been something that was sold online. I don't really know. But I look at this, and here's what I noticed is, first of all, yes, they've got these ovals in it, so that's good. And then there's some kind of a copper-looking coating. It's not copper. It's perhaps some kind of anti-stick coating. And I thought, okay, well, now I thought maybe it just doesn't need sharpening as often. And I did actually catch my son sharpening it once, and I told him, please don't. I'm trying to find out whether it really stays sharp forever or not. So, it's, let's see, since July, so August, September, October, so about 3 months, something like that, 3.5 months. Does it ever need sharpening? No, but yes. So I'm going to do some comparisons for you, but before that, so this is the new one, and you can tell it's new because there's no wear and tear on the brown stuff. The old one, on the other hand, you can especially see it on this side, that there's some wear and tear, like right there. And on on this side, it's mostly along the edge here, so it's not very easy to see. There you go. So hopefully you can see, you can identify that this is the old one. There's also a streak of friction or whatever there from washing it. So the first thing I can tell you is this is not particularly good at letting go of stuff if you have dried out food on here. So definitely clean it off when it's still freshly dirty, because otherwise food particles will stick to the blade. Whatever that brown stuff is, it is not that anti-stick that things won't stick when they're dried on to it. The next thing, as you can see, obviously, is this stuff wears off over time. And I can safely say that larger things generally will not stick because of the ovals, but smaller things and sticky things like bananas and strawberries will sometimes stick. Also, I noticed while I was using this, when I was cutting up mushrooms, sometimes a bit of the mushroom, like the skin, would get stuck on the edge of the blade, and then I couldn't cut properly until I cleaned off that skin, which was weird. Also, I noticed that initially with the new one, I was able to, or sorry, when this was new 3 months ago, I could cut through tomatoes and things like that very easily, but over time it has become duller. So that's why I say no, but yes. I can still use it to cut things. It's no longer effortless, however. Some things are challenging, just like with a standard stainless steel knife. So to me, I don't know, I think has stayed relatively sharp over a longer period of time than my set of knives that I have from Farberware. And this is my favorite of all of them because it gives me clearance for my fingers here. It's the most comfortable one for me to use. There is another one like this that's larger, but that's rather heavy too. So I prefer to use this one. So this one I frequently will sharpen it with my ceramics sharpener from Trident. I guess that's what it is. Or maybe it's Wusthof Trident. I'm not sure. You know, you just go like this, and you do that enough times if you're keeping it stable and straight, and you've got it got this on a solid surface. It will do a very good job of sharpening it. It just takes a little bit of effort, but eventually you will have a nice sharp edge again. But this has only been partially sharpened once, and that was probably a month and a half ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen this one up, and I'm not going to sharpen this one, and I'm not going to sharpen the one that I haven't used at all, and we're going to see how they compare. I've got onion and beet. I'm currently out of tomatoes, but I have some small cherry tomatoes that may or may not be good. One thing I noticed is when a tomato starts to get riper, the skin becomes more difficult to cut, and that's also probably because of decreased internal resistance because it becomes mushy inside. And I've got broccoli, and I've got bell pepper. Now, if you haven't worked with bell pepper, you should be aware that bell pepper skin also is fairly resistant to being cut. So I usually cut from the inside out instead of from the outside in, unless my knife is really sharp, which is what I'm trying to accomplish. Hold on while I finish sharpening. Okay, so I just tested this one out on the bell pepper, and it's now nice and sharp and cut through very, very easily. This one, on the other hand, I just checked it out too, and a bit of a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my camera over on my counter so that you can see what I'm doing, and you can judge for yourself whether or not this is something you want to have. I will tell you right now, if you want a somewhat sharp knife and over time it's going to become less and less sharp, this is pretty much like all other knives. If however if you want a knife that probably you can go a long time without sharpening, serrated knives are generally better, like those Ginsu knives last a fairly long time before they become useless. But yeah, this is not something that stays sharp forever. So let's get you set up. Okay, so I have, for comparison's sake, I've got a table knife that has some serration on the blade here, but not serious serration. I've got an unsharpened steak knife. I've got the sharpened, whatever you call this kind of knife, and I've got the two copper knives. So let's start out by finding out what a sharp knife can do. Now, I did cut the bell pepper with a sharp knife, but it's very easy. No problem. Also, let's try a bit of onion. No problem there. Let's try this beet. A little bit of effort, but no big deal. And now let's take a look at the unsharpened steak knife. I had to put some pressure on it, but not too bad. The table knife, once I got the serration to start hitting it, it actually went through very well. And then this is the new one, and that went through very, very smoothly. And this is the old one. Okay, that took a lot of more effort than it should have. So much for stay sharp forever. But let's carry on by trying the other options. So here's the steak knife. About the same. It was not as easy, but not too bad. And oh man, that's definitely, this is not a good knife for cutting a beet. And so now I'll try the table knife. That actually is about as much resistance as the steak knife. And oh gosh, that is definitely quite difficult to use on that as well. And then, let's see, this is the new one. So it's nice and easy. Oops. So that's really nice and easy as well. Now the one that hasn't been sharpened for 3 months, already did that, so I'll get that out of the way. Not too bad, a little bit more resistance. I had to put a fair amount of pressure on with this one, but not horrible. So let's carry on with some other stuff. Okay, so I've got some broccoli, I've got the mushrooms, and I've also got one more thing I'm going to do with the bell pepper, just to show you the difference between a sharpened knife and the copper knife. So the bell pepper skin tends to be rather resistant to being cut when you cut from the inside. It makes it a lot easier to cut from the inside if your knife isn't really sharp, but still, if you try to cut, sometimes you will get stuff that is, if you're not paying attention especially, you'll get it where it's still sticking together. And this isn't happening right now, but I know that before, if I'm not paying attention, that's what happens. But both of these, when I'm paying attention, can do well. Now this is the used one. And if I'm paying attention, I can still do fairly well, but it still sometimes will end up not cutting through properly. Much less the table knife and the steak knife. So, one of the things I do want to mention before I forget it, one of the things I don't like about this copper knife is the handle is a bit too short. Now, if you've got a large hand like mine, you want a handle that's going to stick out, and so it's your pinky isn't kind of falling off the end there. And I like that there's this here to catch the first finger. There is no knurling here or whatever to make it more ergodynamic for my other fingers, and it is just too short. I can put pressure here, which is another good feature. But yeah, the knife handle is too short. I will say, however, that except for with sticky things, the holes definitely make it easier, and in that respect, it's better than this knife. But otherwise, you know, I'm just going to have to sharpen these just like I have to sharpen this knife. So it's only better because of the holes, and this one actually is more comfortable in my hand and is, as you can see, is a bit larger. But I wish this one was also a little bit larger than it is as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go, I've got this stalk, the end of a stalk of broccoli, and for those of you who don't know it, the best part of the broccoli is not the crown. A lot of people buy the crown. The best part is this part. The stalk, it has the sweetest flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how well each of these cuts through. And I'm going to start with a steak knife. Oh, that was a lot of force. And then I'm going to use the old, not as much force as the steak knife, but still not good. That was the most force because I didn't use the serration. And now we'll just go with the new copper knife. That was pretty easy. And the sharp steak knife. The copper knife actually was easier than this knife. So I'm not going to keep this part because this is the end. It's old and it's going to be more fibrous. But once you strip off that outer skin from the stalk, this is this part inside here is the best part. Oh, I've cut myself. Yeah, that's why I don't like sharp knives, because they say there's nothing worse than a sharp knife in the kitchen, or sorry, dull knife in the kitchen. Well, for me, the worst thing in the kitchen is a too sharp knife, because I tend to cut myself. I've gotten better about it over the years, but I'm still kind of danger prone. Don't call me Daphne. All right, so let's just try cutting this way, and we're going to start again with the the copper knife. That was somewhat difficult, but not terribly. That was actually easier. Here's the old copper knife. Wow, that required a lot of force. And here's the steak knife. That actually was easier than the old copper knife. And that was actually surprisingly on par with the old copper knife. So, you know, just more proof that you're going to have to keep the copper knife sharpened. Now, I can still use it, and I have been using it, like I said, for 3 months without sharpening it, except for that one time because my son didn't know. But, you know, it's no excuse. If they're going to market it as, oh, it never needs sharpening, well, it should never need sharpening, and now it needs sharpening. So let's do one more thing. Let's do the mushrooms. But before we do the mushrooms, I've got some cut up or pre-cut purple cabbage. I'm just going to open it up here with the nice new copper knife. Oh, that cuts so smoothly. But let's try the old copper knife. Not quite so smooth, but not bad. And I don't know about this one. The end is not sharp enough. All right, hold on. I'm going to do another thing with the broccoli. I just noticed something. So I was just cutting up broccoli crowns, and I tried the copper knife, and let me get a nice good one off of here. And I cut it, and I could feel more resistance than I had expected to feel from it. So then I tried this, and this actually on the other one worked better. So it's a little bit ambiguous. Sometimes one's better than the other. So as you can see, these mushrooms are old. They're no longer suitable for salads, so I'm going to just try cutting them up. I'll start with the steak knife. And that's okay. Now I'll try the table knife. As long as I use that serration. Now, if I don't use the serration, it definitely requires additional power. And let's try the old one. That's pretty easy. One of the reasons I prefer this knife here is because the blade is straight. I do not like having to rock the blade. I don't cut that. I don't do this kind of cutting very much. I'm just not good at it, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty easy. And on we go with the new copper knife. That's nice. And then my favorite. That's even better. So now I'm curious. I want to try to sharpen up the old copper knife. So I'm going to use my ceramic sharpener. Oh, that's the new one. Grabbed the wrong one. Good job, Len. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Your viewers are astonished. Okay. Hold on while I get this one sharpened up. And it should just take a minute. Okay, so now to satisfy my curiosity, I'm going to compare this again. Oh, that's so nice. Not quite as good, but pretty good. And you can already see a little bit. I was talking about the skin of the mushroom sticking to the blade, and it's done it right here. And that sticks, and then it makes it harder to cut. And I don't remember ever having very often having that problem with this knife. So I'm not really sure what it is about this knife that causes that to happen, but it's kind of annoying. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I think that you have gotten a fair idea of the quality of the copper knife. If you can get it, or a 1-pack or a 2-pack for like under $5, it's a really good deal, because Having the holes in the blade is a definite advantage, unless you can find one of the blades that had a groove cut through them, ground through them, or the blade is kind of a wavy blade to resist things sticking. Again, it doesn't stop everything from sticking, but many fewer things stick to it than stick to this one, which has absolutely flat sides. So in that respect, that's a benefit of the copper knife. Just don't expect it to be sharp forever. And that's it. So I guess I'll give the copper knife, as far as staying sharp forever, I give it a 1. As far as the ovals for resisting things sticking to it, I'll give it a 7. And I think overall I'll probably give it a 6, because again, the handle has some pros and cons to it. The brown crap comes off, and yeah, the false marketing just irritates me. But yeah, it's worth buying. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.